We are on our way up. Funny, and then this time now as we're approaching, we're like, well, what else is going to be dug up? In the meantime, it's been a couple of days. I think Mum's been up here yesterday. The sweet corn was attacked. You said the pak choi was out again?
Yes, it was. Well, the pak choi was still a reminder that both ends were taken out.
Right. Oh well, they're still in place. Well, we're looking all right. Let me show you what happened to the sweet corn. Yeah, so the sweet corn that we had is still looking pretty good, but look, I mean, they have been in and they have squashed some down, but not all of them, which is a win. Do you know what? I think that might have actually been squirrels though. It's not a fox, like they haven't jumped over that barrier. I think the squirrels have just got in under the netting because squirrels love the sweet corn. Just add it to the list.
Hello, darling. All of you, all out. What is this?
Not too bad. Not too bad. No further digging apart from around the edges of beds.
Oh, look.
Ah, boxes everywhere.
Put something else in there. Another table.
Feels like it's been ages since we've walked up here and been like, oh, no damage there, no damage there, no damage there. It's quite good. There has been a bit of damage, but it's only on the paths. Like they've been digging around the edges of the bed. I am totally fine with that. I do love a nice, neat grass path, but I am not going to be precious about it. Yeah, okay, and breathe. We're all right. Okay, so this morning, actually, I am a little bit on the sluggish side, so apologise if you just see me like... because I went out for breakfast this morning and ate a huge amount of food. And then came home and tried to have a kip, but ended up just like staring at daytime telly for half an hour. And now I'm up here, but it has not digested, so I'm sort of, oh, goodness me. So I forced myself out of the house because it's a beautiful day. And we're actually coming to the end of August, so this coming weekend is the August bank holiday, the last one. And then it's going to be September, I can't believe it, so I'm coming out like every time the sun's out. I'm like, quick, get outside. What was I going to say? Yeah, so tomorrow we're not going to be up here. Because we are going on a little bit of a day trip tomorrow, not very far, only into town, but I'm quite looking forward to it. I will reveal all a bit later on. So my first job is to carry on where I left off last week, which was getting the feed into the quad grow system, which is our all singing, all dancing system, self-watering shebang that we've got going on in the greenhouse this year. Okay, well, I've ordered myself, oh, I can't see you. I've ordered myself a measuring jug for up here, but I've just taken a little measurement of how much I need to put in there. So this is a 10-litre watering can, which does make it a bit easier. So I need to put in, I'm going to put 2 full watering cans in each of my reservoirs. So I'm going to put 120 ml of each of these in the watering can each. Where's my line? There. Okay. So this is the feed that came with the quad grows. It is an A and B 2-part mix. It came in these white canisters as a like crystallized powder, which I've then mixed up with water so it's ready to go. As I said, my watering can is 10 litres and I'm putting 2 full watering cans in each of these reservoirs, which is obviously 20 litres. So I'm putting 120 of A and 120 of B in there, which should be good. The maximum reservoir capacity of these is 30 litres, I seem to remember, so 20 litres should be fine. There's still a little bit of leftover water from before in there, so we should be good. And this feed is going to feed and water all of my plants that I've got in the quad grows for supposedly 14 days. So we'll do this again in 2 weeks' time. Right, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what we're going to do about this problem of the foxes. It's also a problem with badgers in the area, as we've previously discussed. We just have a lot of animals around here, and here, I mean, it's an open space, it's great, it's somewhere for them to live. I really genuinely don't have a problem with them being here. It's not that. I just don't want them eating the things that I'm growing or just digging them up for fun, which is what it feels like they're doing. But the general thing is I had 2 options of, well, 3 options really, but 2 kind of barrier style options. One of them is a perimeter fence, to really go all in on building a barrier around the edge of the plot. We've got a fence all the way around the edge of the plot, which is, what is it, about 60 centimetres high. There's a couple of gaps, but not many. There's a bit where it's fallen down a bit, and there's a bit on that side where we are supposed to be putting a gate, but I haven't got round to it yet, so we've just got a piece of mesh over the top of it. But generally, it's an intact fence. That is sort of beneficial to some things not coming in. But the thing is that foxes jump. And I've been having a look at how high foxes can jump. And obviously the height that they can jump is much higher if they've got a solid platform on the top. So if it's a wibbly wobbly fence and they have to jump from floor over onto floor again, it's less high. If there's something for them to jump onto at the top, they can jump nearly 2 meters. So they can jump 1.85 meters apparently. A normal fully grown fox, not like a mega fox, just a normal fox, 1.85 meters. That is tall. So not even thinking about the expense of it, like if you just took that out of the equation entirely, that's just a mammoth task, and we'll end up looking like we're in sort of Fort Knox. There's actually an abandoned plot on the other side of our site where he had a lot of birds. He not just chickens, but he had ducks and canaries and all sorts of things. This is years ago. And he put, you know, that massive chainmail fence that's like 2 meters high or whatever it is, like the standard stuff. He has that all the way around the outside of his plot. It just looks really unfriendly. And also, I don't think it worked in the end. So the other option is to protect each of the individual beds. And although that's probably a lot more in the long run, not money-wise, but I mean like the amount of work you have to do, because obviously if it's just a fence, you're just going all the way around the outside. This is 21 individual beds that need to be covered. Theoretically, that's quite easy in the sense of all of our beds are the same size, except that 8 of them in the middle have got arches up one side, so that cuts them down. But we've got 9 beds that are totally open and could be covered. And I think that's the route I'm going to go. The third route that I'm talking about is dissuasion tactics, so like scent and so it's like the citronella, the chili peppers, people were talking about, creosote, that kind of thing. And I think that will be part of the equation anyway. So we're going to try out the chili pepper thing again. Me and Mum are both going to be very careful not to rub our eyes like we did last time. I'm going to repair the fence on the outside anyway, because I think that just needs to be done, the few little holes that we've got. But I am going to focus on covering each of the individual beds, and I think it's probably going to be a bit of trial and error. The main thing that we've got is the bottom. So we've got the tops covered for birds and such like, but things are getting in underneath. So we need to have, where the netting comes down, needs to be a solid base. It needs to clip or attach or something actually onto the bed itself. We've got the lovely mesh hoops, you know, the cattle mesh that we've got folded over, so in the big arches, which is fantastic in the sense that it's really strong, but it's got no ends, that it is vulnerable at both ends. So the plan is, and I've just been mocking this up, this is what we're thinking of doing. This is a miniature one because I've just used what I've got here, but this is the plan. We need to go to B&Q and buy some more pipe because I've cut all the stuff that we've got to be square. And that's not going to fit for going loopy, but it's going to have not just this over piece here, but it's all going to be attached to the bottom, and then that is going to be clipped onto the top of the raised beds. That is my plan. I mean, having a really good barrier around the outside of the plot is still really good. And over the years, like, we have built it up. Like, obviously behind the greenhouse, I don't know if you remember, I've put all the pallets along that edge, and that's all, you know, really good solid barrier. And at the top end where we've got the compost heaps. But the problem with those areas is actually they are the easiest places for the foxes to come over because they've got something very solid that they can jump onto. Although a lovely, like, solid barrier makes us feel like safe inside, it's just make it more convenient for the foxes. Same with the compost heap because they just jump straight over onto the compost heap. Nice soft landing. Lovely. Right, what else was I going to do while I was up here? I've got dahlias to pick, I've got sweet peas to pick, beans, courgettes to pick. Obviously, that's just a constant at the moment. I've also got the first row of Lilia that we put in, Lilia the spring onions, which was, gosh, ages ago now. We have been eating them, but I planted so many of them, they've got away from me. Yes, right, well, I better get on with it, I think, because like I say, we're not going to be up here tomorrow. We are going to the conservatory at the Barbican. Nice bit of greenery. Okay. What else do I have to do? Oh, I also need to do a little bit of pruning in the polytunnel. Tomatoes are coming on, excellently. Nothing's red yet, but I love this stage of the tomatoes because you can see, like, all the different forms of them. They're all such different shapes. You think a tomato is a tomato. Not true. Not true. Okay, wow, that was quite a ramble. mass escape. Has there been an escape, girls? Has there been an escape? Oh, you're so beautiful. Yeah, you are. Gorge. Yeah. Can't believe the size of these beans again, Mum. So this is the bed with the spring onions in. We've actually got beetroot, spring onions, turnips and chickpeas in this bed. But the spring onions are the Lilia, which are those beautiful red ones, my absolute favourite spring onions. But there were so many of them. We have been eating them, but they've just completely got away from me, like I was saying. So I'm actually just going to pull them all. And you'll see if I pull this one up. You see, Lilia is normally a real like straight up and down classic spring onion, but if you leave them a bit longer, they do form these really beautiful, like proper bulb onions, and these make the finest pickled onions. So I'm just going to pull all of these out. This will be the end of this row, and then we'll start eating the Ishikura ones, which I've got on the other side, which are just about ready to start picking. I also have some more in the greenhouse that are ready to go in. Spring onions are one of the things that we do normally grow all year round, but last year we had just a whole mess up with the polytunnel, so we didn't have any growing last year. But the ones that I've got as seedlings now will go in as the last outdoor ones, and then I'll get another load in that will grow under cover over winter. So actually that's quite interesting. Most of these are really good looking, like lovely, perfect little onion there. But we have got a couple of patches. Can you see that awful white nasty on there? That is the white rot. So it's just starting to creep in. Most of these are fine though. There's just a little tiny patch around that centre area where, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. And these won't go into the compost heap either because it's soil borne. And I'll just mark this bed down as being another bed with white rot. Normally it doesn't get spring onions. So the reason that we don't have a problem growing spring onions, and we do like proper long-term onions, is because spring onions are normally in and out of the ground really fast, faster than the white rot can really get a hold. But there were so many of these in there that I couldn't eat them all as spring onions, so I've left them in longer than the normal harvest period of a spring onion. So yeah, this is what would happen if we were trying to grow proper onions in there. There would just be a complete disaster. It'd be all gross. Luckily caught most of these in time, and we got a lot of them. Oi! Oi! If we don't have enough destruction on the plot. Right. That is us done for today. Just a little trip, you know. A bit of feeding. Finally got the quad grows in action with what they're supposed to be doing, which is feeding as well as watering. Plenty beans. We've got these, which I'm going to go home right now and demonstrate the bean slicer. Tomorrow I'm not going to be up here, nor are you. You're coming with me. Mum will be up here checking the girlies out. As you saw, they're starting to come out a lot more now, apart from Val, who's still broody. But I was just thinking about those cages. So part of the reason that we've been reluctant to let them out is because they go immediately to rip up all the plants. As it does everything. That just seems to be the mood that everything's taken this year. But earlier on in the year, when we planted a load of stuff out, the girls just came out and ripped everything up, which was great. And then also they just ate a load of our seedlings as they were coming through. So they've been kind of banished. They have been coming out, but under like very strict supervision. If we get these, you know, proper covers over the beds, it means that they can just come out again and be happy girlies. So I think win-win all round. Right, we are going to head off. I have my goodies. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, good morning. We are up in town today. And I mentioned yesterday that we're actually going to see the Barbican Conservatory. So if you don't know the Barbican Centre, it's actually just a massive block of brutalist, like residential flats. It's huge. I don't know how many flats there are there, but there must be in the thousands. There's a lot of them, and it's a really chunky building. As I say, it's brutalist. It was built in like the late 60s, early 70s. It's now actually listed, like grade 2 listed, because it is quite extraordinary. The conservatory that we're going to is it's the second largest like indoor plant conservatory area in London, and it houses just loads. It's just like a tropical little paradise stuck to the side of a block of flats. But I absolutely love it, and the Barbican is a really, really interesting place anyway to visit, because not only is it this incredible like brutalist architecture, but it houses loads of different things. So it's got the flats, like the main part of it, but it's got a huge art centre, it's got theatre, cinema. It actually houses the Guildhall School, which is a drama and music school in itself. It's got a huge public library in there. It's got all these really beautiful like ponds, and it's just a lovely place if you like that kind of thing. It's actually quite interesting. We're going to see the conservatory today, like I said, and I haven't actually been here since, I must have been in primary school. I think we had a trip up here. That's the last time I went to the conservatory, and I've got like quite strong memories of it being like this tropical paradise. But the Barbican itself is quite interesting. It's actually built on a huge area of London that was bombed out during the war. So it was a big flat land anyway. But previous to that, it was actually like the main Roman fort of London was on this site. And like right next to the Barbican is the Museum of London, which is like all around the fort and the London walls, the old Roman walls and everything. And I only learnt this today actually, but the word the Barbican comes from the Latin Barbicana, which means fortified outpost, or like the gate, because this was the gate to London in the Roman times. So yeah, it's a pretty magical place. And how cool is this, just to have this attached to your flats? So we are now in the conservatory, and it's really lovely because they've kept the real brutalist feeling in here. Like, it's very heavy brick, and all of the pipework and everything is all still exposed. And then you've got things like this, just these beautiful roots hanging off everywhere. And although there's no flats that actually look out over into this bit, like this is a separate section, it's still done like with the balconies, so it looks like the rest of the blocks of flats with just, it's just lovely. And yeah, the amount of stuff growing in here, it's got a real Kew Gardens feel to it, which is always nice. And there's so much of this, obviously most of this stuff is things that we would recognise as houseplants. And yeah, I just love it. Yeah, I'm going to shut up now, and we will just stroll around for a bit. look at this. They've even got a dry bit. I don't remember this bit at all from my school visit, but looking at the age of some of these cactuses, I think it was probably here, chaps. This is brilliant. I just love the randomness of this incredible conservatory stuck to the side of a block of flats. Look at this one. It looks like someone's had a really hard time with some balloon animals. Such a fascinating place, seriously. I'll put the link to the Wikipedia page for the Barbican underneath the video, because just as a read, it's just fascinating. It's really great. And if you live in or around London and you haven't been to the Barbican, do it. It's right by Moorgate Tube Station. Have a nose around. It's well worth it. I will see you at the allotment again in the morning. I know, girls. Good morning. Good morning, girlies. Good morning, girlies. I know. Foxes have been back. They have. Bloody things. Oh dear. Yeah, so yesterday we actually went to B&Q to try and buy some of those same black pipes we've got here, which is actually wiring conduit. And we found the pipe eventually, but they didn't have any of the fixings, any of the corners, any of the brackets that we needed. So we left it, and I'm going to order them all online, which means it's going to take another couple of days, which is frustrating because although yesterday and the day before there was no damage, I've just walked down here this morning and 4 beds have been turned over. Yeah, the purple sprouting broccoli is out again. No damage on the pak choi. For once, they've actually escaped, because that pak choi is the longest suffering pak choi in history. But yeah, so they've got that bed that's got the pumpkins in it, oh, poor pumpkins, and the turnips, and the chard has just been completely turned over. And actually last week, I think, I don't normally watch Gardener's World, but I caught a glimpse of Mum watching it, and Monty Don was saying, now's the time to prune the ends of your pumpkins and winter squash, so that the fruit that's already set has a chance to ripen. Well, considering ours haven't even got past the flowering stage yet, because every time they look like they're doing something, the foxes take them out. I think I'm just going to clear the bed. There's no point. There's a couple of turnips that might possibly survive in there, which I'll leave. And there's a few, or up until yesterday, there was a few quite good looking chard plants in there, but they are also kaput this morning. So yeah, I've actually just come up really to do a bit of a plot tour, and it's not going to be like a total everything plot tour. It's just going to be the things that are looking like, or things that are of interest. The polytunnel for one, what's going on in the greenhouse, and a couple of bits and pieces that are coming on really nicely that haven't been fox attacked. And because this is the last week of August, the next vlog is going to be a September vlog, and I will do like a proper look at what's happening on the allotment at the beginning of the first of the autumn months. That will be next week. So let's just have a look at the things which are doing all right. It's not a vast amount of things, to be honest. So I think maybe we'll start in the polytunnel, because the tomatoes, although nothing is red yet, are a joy. So yeah, lacking in red, but we've got some beautiful looking tomatoes coming. We've got trusses everywhere, just masses of them. There is actually one sungold in there that is ready, which is pretty exciting. As you can see, I've been sort of chopping the leaves from the bottom to kind of give the tomatoes that are there the best chance of ripening. Look at the shape of these beauties. Aren't they stunning? That is the Atomic Fusion, so the step up from the Brad's grape. You can see how much larger that is already. That's coming along really nicely. There's some beautiful little shapes in here. Like, look at these guys. Isn't that lovely? They're so pointy. That is a tomato called Bliss. Then we've got some beef steaks coming in the back there. There's just loads coming. These guys are my Japanese black troffellis, which I'm really thrilled about. We've got at least 10, 11 of them on there. Really nice. Gorgeous trusses under here. All coming good. Just no redness yet. But the tomato plants themselves have got really lovely and tall, and I'm starting to train them across the roof. I've got high hopes for a pretty good September. We've got at least 1 week of really good weather coming up, like really nice warm weather again, and the forecast isn't really predictable beyond that point, but we've got 1 week. God, it's hot in here. Whew! Yeah, we've got 1 week of really good weather, so I'm hoping that quite a lot of these are going to make big progress in that week. This one looks really lovely though. Have a look at this. This is the black strawberry that came from JB. Now look at how beautiful that tomato is. Is that not just stunning? Look at that gorgeousness. It's really, really lovely. So yeah, we've got tons and tons of tomatoes coming. We just need a little bit of sunshine. That's all we need. Some sunshine. The basil below, some of it's looking really good. I mean, we've got some absolute stunners in there, all different types, and we've been eating quite a lot of it, so it hasn't had a chance to go completely mad. But yeah, I think next year I will go harder on the basil, because the first lot that I put in got completely slugged. In fact, you can see this is the lettuce leaf basil. It's really just lace, as is the Thai basil, which is weird because previous years nothing's touched the Thai basil. So yep, just add that to another wonderful thing about this year. But yeah, it does smell wonderful. As soon as you touch that basil, it's like, oh yeah. And the cucumbers that we planted in here have actually started coming good. In fact, we've got one to pick down there, which is a joy. I'll take that home with me today, and we've got a couple more coming, which is nice. Next year I'm definitely going to grow more cucumbers in here. The cucumbers that we planted outdoors have done nothing. They've really, really struggled. So I think the varieties that I grow are not decent outdoor cucumbers. I had long to chin and can't remember what the other one was, but basically neither of them have enjoyed it, but they're doing much better indoors. So next year, I know, there's no point putting them outside. I was going to show you how pleased I am with these Savoy cabbages. We've never actually managed to get a good Savoy cabbage before, but it was them and the red cabbages, but unfortunately this is one of the beds that has been done over, so all of the red cabbages are actually out of the ground at the moment, so I'm just going to have to replant them pretty sharpish. These are the poor pumpkins, or the winter squash. I mean, that one actually looks pretty healthy, but it's not going to do anything now. All of the chard did look like this yesterday, but unfortunately now there is just an empty space where they used to be. This is getting a little bit depressing now, chaps. I am so fed up of these things being dug out. I can't even tell you. But the chimney wrapper that we transplanted, the self-seeded stuff's looking great. That is this stuff here. Unfortunately, they've been in there too, because that is where the garlic kale is supposed to be, and unfortunately it's just all been dug out because that is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be in the centre of the bed. But the chimney wrapper, I don't know if you can see through those railings, is looking great. We should be eating that soon, so that is a bonus. That garlic kale has been dug out 3 times now, and unfortunately it's started to bolt. You know when you disturb the roots of something too many times and it just decides it's had enough? That's all bolted. Luckily I've got a little bit more of it in the greenhouse that I'll have to replace that with. But yeah, frustrating. This bed hasn't been got yet. This is the second lot of spring onions that I'll be picking out. That's the ishikuri. They're just ready to go now. Peas behind them, the last little stragglers. But Mum was picking some of them yesterday, so they're still coming good. We've got some nice wide leaf rocket in the middle there. Beetroot, 3 different types of beetroot, and the kohlrabi, some of which is actually starting to look pretty good. Been really slow this year. The zinnias, this is actually the first one to flower of all of those zinnias that I put out. I know, very slow. Mustard greens looking really nice. We've got the green wave on this side and the dragon's tongue there. They'll be ready for picking fairly shortly. I'm quite pleased with them, despite them being turfed out twice now. They've actually recovered really nicely. The beetroot's really struggled since we tried to replant it. There's a couple of gaps, as you can see, and the kailan. Some of them really don't look like they're going to do anything, which is a bit of a shame. These ones down the centre here have stayed in the ground, but the ones on the edge, you can see, they've been replanted a couple of times and they haven't loved it. Has been absolutely wonderful this year has been the beans. I said earlier on that the cobra beans, which are these ones, the green ones, had been outperforming everything else, but actually they were just quicker. So they started off really strong and now they're just tailing off slightly, and we are getting the yellow beans are taking over, which has been brilliant. What hasn't been so good, interestingly, are the purple beans. So it's the same variety that I grow every year, but for some reason this year they've just been really gnarly. Like, instead of really nice, tender, like round pods, they've been really like they've been growing their seeds too early, you know, so they just get a bit nasty. Not sure what that's all about. Yeah, we will see. Oh dear. You know, I was saying I wanted to catch all the tromboncinos early. For some unknown reason, I've missed one. Look at the size of this. Oh dear, I didn't even see that. It's huge. This bean is a first for me this year, or a first successful one. These are the beans from Jinxie. They're looking lovely. These are going to be for drying, so I haven't picked any of these. I'm just letting them grow on the plant, and they're just looking really, really nice. They're an Asturian bean, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them. We just need a bit of nice dry weather now to dry off those pods. Bed where I took the spring onions out of a couple of days ago, this is that gap here, we got some fantastic looking beetroot in that end, which is really nice. The turnips, some of them look great, but I think we've got quite a bit of club root in this bed, so some of them are nice, some of them are not nice, but this is a raging success for this year. Let me just pull this up. The chickpeas have been incredible. They're absolutely covered in pods. Some of them are starting to dry off, you know, like you want them to. I've been so thrilled with that. I'm really excited about actually getting some chickpeas. I don't know if you remember last year we had about 4 plants and we got about 9 chickpeas off them. Admittedly, even this year, like, even though we've got masses of them, it's hardly going to be even a tin's worth of chickpeas, but you know. It's still exciting. Might even be able to make some hummus with them or something. Yeah. Well, I'm pleased anyway. This end of the bed has been dug last night, but the lettuces under the box are still looking really nice. This end has also been dug up. We had 2 aubergines in there, but you can see that one has been dug out. I shall replant that in a moment. Courgettes, all been pretty good this year. The plants are not huge though, by any stretch of the imagination, and particularly not the little white ones. Really, really stunted plants for some reason. Here is, oh sorry, in the beans, here's the purple sprouting broccoli that's all been dug out last night. Oh no, and the fennel, I hadn't even seen that. So we had 2 really nice, neat rows of fennel in there. We've now got nothing. Do you see what I mean about them getting in underneath though? That's why we want the frames that we're going to make to really clip down onto the bed so that there's no way of getting underneath, because we have pinned and pegged this all the way around really solidly. In fact, I can't even see where they've, oh, you see they've just dug all the pegs out. The pegs are just now lying on the ground, so frustrating, really, really frustrating. Okay. Come on, cheer up, woman. Oh, they've dug my paths up terribly here. Look at this. They've really gone to town here on the side of the bed. They've taken the end of this bed out as well. Luckily, they haven't managed to get inside there this time, which is good. But all of this is all a bit much. Tomatoes, these are the outdoor tomatoes, and I'm actually really, really chuffed with them. We've got loads of fruit coming. We just need that little bit more sunshine, just a few more weeks, a month more of good weather, and I think we'll do really well there. These are all the blight resistant varieties. So this was Burlesque, Crocchini, Jet Setter. There was somebody else in there as well, but I can't remember who it was. But yeah, so really chuffed with that. They're looking fantastic. This bed here is just an absolute testament to the resilience of Kailan and Pak Choi, because how many times have these guys been out? I mean, we must have replanted this bed, what, 8, 9 times? And they're still doing fine. We lost a couple, but very few, like surprisingly few. It's incredible. It's really incredible. It just really makes you think, my goodness, you know, you mollycoddle these plants and actually they can really survive a battle, actually. They can survive a battle. Right, what else is looking good? The pears. Remember we covered these pears up. Look, they're looking really, really nice in there. I'm so excited about them. Now, I don't know much about pears because this is our first harvest of them. But I think you're supposed to pick them when they're unripe and ripen them like at home. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research into that. If anybody knows, if anybody grows conference pears, let me know what I'm supposed to be doing, because I don't want this lot to go to waste, because it's just wonderful. We've never had pears before, so Trez excited. Oh, talking about fruit though, look. That there is my pride and joy, the apricot tree. It is dead. It's completely dead. It's gone. There's just nothing left of it. So that's really very sad. Very sad. We've got some decisions to make about what we're going to do with it though, because we could just take it out and put a new tree there. Obviously not one related to an apricot, because whatever it's got is nasty and will spread to the next plant if it's in the same family. However, it's a really strong structure and it's a really good shape, like it's a really even shape. So I'm considering taking off the smaller branches at the top and just keeping it as a structure and growing something up it. Some kind of fruiting vine. Actually considering the kiwi, because the kiwi is still going in the fruit cage, but it's not going brilliantly. It's not looking that great, and actually the things around it have kind of taken over, because we've got the grapevine and the loganberry on either side of it, and I think it might benefit from a little bit more space. So this is a possible new site to grow the kiwi up. What else have we got to show you? Jerusalem artichokes are looking strong this year. Quite excited about them. Got more carrots in the carrot box, ready to harvest. This brassica cage is another bed of very, very resilient plants. These guys have all been out at least once each, and they all look like they've survived. We lost one thing, which was on this corner here, which I believe was a Brussels sprout, but everything else has actually made a recovery. It has been wonderful this year, has been the sweet peas. Just the most magnificent things. You can see they've kind of run away with us a bit there. You can see we've got quite a lot of pods to nip off. But I reckon if we took all those pods off, gave them another really good soak and a feed, we'd have another whole new flush. So yeah, really chuffed with the sweet peas this year. Back to beans. The runner beans are coming into their own now, looking really good. The sweet corn that was knocked over the other day, I think we may possibly have rescued a couple of bits of it. That side is still all okay. These ones, kind of stood them up. One of the cobs had been really chewed to pieces, but we just gave that to the girlies. And the other ones look like they might just about give us something. This is an area we need to do quite a lot of work on. It looked absolutely magnificent about May, June time with all of this going. Now we've just left it to self-seed, so we'll get the same again next year. We need to do a bit of work at the back there. That apple tree needs some love. Yeah, quite a bit of work on that side. Obviously, I haven't reinstalled the water butt for the polytunnel yet. That's something I need to get done before autumn. The garlic chives are all looking stunning. I love them. I absolutely look at those little triangles in the bottom. Oh, just so beautiful. Such a beautiful plant, and loads of them have started to self-seed down here. I know this just looks like grass, but it's not. These are the baby garlic chives, so I'll let them get a little bit bigger, dig them all out and clump them together like this, so that you get like a really nice big clump of them. But they're just so beautiful. We also have a little bit of a queue of things over here that need to go in. We've got the minutina, we've got some more lettuces, some chicory, little bits and pieces to do some infill with. Final thing to have a look at, I suppose, let's go and have a look in the greenhouse. So still quite a lot going on in here. Oh. In terms of seedlings, we've got more chard coming, which is handy. Seems all of that has just been dug out. Some of this, so this is a mixture of Lucullus and Bietta, and some of these will be going into the polytunnel after the tomatoes come out, so I'll pop them up and just keep them going until we've got space for them in there. We've got the more Cavalla Nero, we've got cabbages, the olive leaf Chimida wrappers coming up brilliantly. This is the Minestra, fab. More spring onions that are ready to go out. No sign of my beef and onion trees yet. I mean, there's lots of things growing in them, but they're all weeds. Because we're using a mixture of our own compost and the silver grow now, it's not sterile, so there's loads of weed seeds come up in our seedlings, but the mix itself seems to work really well, so I'm not worried about a few weeds. Normally they're quite identifiable as like not the thing that you sowed. So more beetroot, and then in this side we've got kumutsuna, pak choy, kohlrabi. These are the garlic kales that I'm going to use to replace what was dug out yesterday. And then we've got a little bit more bietta, which is just sort of coming on nicely. They're a little bit further ahead than the last lot. Now, in terms of the big things that we've got growing in here, firstly, I'm wildly happy with the quad grows. I think they're brilliant. I absolutely love them. The plants in them are so happy. They're so tidy, like it just looks really, really smart. I'm well happy with it. But we have got loads of bits and pieces coming along in here. So these are the cayenne peppers. We've got tons of them in there, looking really nice. Obviously nothing has coloured yet, but like the tomatoes, I'm still optimistic. Who's this one? Oh, this is a pepper. There's nothing on that yet, so I'm not sure that we'll get anything. But there's so many flowers. Such a shame everything was so delayed this year. We've got all of these, that's more cayenne. We've got an aubergine in the back there that's looking really nice, covered in flowers. We've got little tiny peppers appearing on here at last. Down here, this is the champion that JB gave us. We've got some real nice big ones appearing on here now. Quite excited about that. Little upright chappies here. This is the lemon drop. Desperately hoping to get some of them. But I find with the lemon drop chilies, they tend to look like they're not going to do anything, and then all of a sudden the whole lot of them goes yellow. Like most years I'm thinking, oh, we're not going to get any, and then we get a big old flush at the end. So I'm still optimistic about those. But yeah, everything in here is looking really nice. Even the sweet potatoes looking good. So that is this tangled mess. Obviously we've got some aubergines down here, but this tangled mess in here. The sweet potato, very happy with that. Another couple of aubergines and the garnet tomato that Johanna gave us. We've been eating those, which is rather nice. Although that doesn't look too great, does it? Oh look, there's Lily. Hi Lil. Hi Bunny. You coming in? Hello Sauce. Hello. Hi Sauce. And so chaps, I do believe that is basically what's going on here at the moment. I'll do a proper tour because a lot of this stuff that's in here, like all the seedlings and stuff, is going to be going out this coming week. And then we'll have a look at the beginning of September because there's going to be some big plans for September. There's a lot of infrastructure-y stuff. I'm going to order the frames or the stuff to make the frames this afternoon, at least for the 8 beds or the 9 beds which aren't with arches. So we should be able to get that sorted because it's getting a bit silly now, chaps. It's getting a bit silly. Yeah, that's plot 37 at the end of August, basically. And tomorrow, not going to be up here again, I know, outrageous week. But it's actually the Kew Horticultural Show tomorrow, which I've never been to. Now, this has been going on for years, apparently, and I just didn't know about it, which is on Kew Green, and they have like a proper vegetable show, which is well exciting. Yeah, but unfortunately the weather really doesn't look good tomorrow. I mean, it's been beautiful the last couple of days here. And when you look at the forecast, like it's all lovely weather apart from tomorrow, which is the fair, which is really sad. But I'm going to go along anyway. So fingers crossed for sunshine, but I don't think there's going to be any. I think it's going to be soggy, and I'll see you there tomorrow. Oh, look at the beauty of that. Oh, aren't they beautiful? Such a shame about the weather. That helps. Wish the sun had come out though.